job that matters most. I am a proud wife.
Can you hear
mom
that?
of two
Yeah.
I mean, I can hear it, but I'm not going to say it's better.
Are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight.
Oh, she's
Like
saying
so
this is
many
her home.
families
It's not a set.
across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched
Better
President
location.
Wesley.
address from our living room, and what we saw.
Wesley is a set.
Performance of a permanent.
There is no location of Wesley.
Who has actually been in office for
Honestly,
longer than
Wesley?
I've been alive.
Okay. He doesn't go by Wes as a grown up?
Wesley Crusher. That's right.
Just go by Wes. You're a grown up, go by Wes.
It's quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his
He was out of touch 30 years ago.
Worse off. Our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
She sounds like Robert Kennedy.
I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this one.
Just like this one.
Kitchen tables.
Has tough conversations. It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we share the good, the bad, and the ugly of our days. It's where we laugh together. And it's where we hold each other's hands. And
Okay, I'm kind of falling in love here. So
You know, what is she, a congresswoman? I don't know. Is
she's
she in government?
She's a state senator for Alabama.
Oh, okay.
You know where they said no to IVF treatments?
Yeah, I'd heard about that.
Yeah,
I'd heard about that in Alabama. I just don't expect better out of the American South.
Okay. Well, maybe she'll change her mind.
pray for God's guidance. And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight, the American family needs to have a tough conversation. Because the truth is, we're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their
Wesley and the next generation.
My American dream allowed me, the daughter
they'll get
Futuristic
shot.
name.
Pardon me?
She's wondering if her children will get shot.
Right. I want to, she's a daughter of what?
American dreams.
Of a father.
Children? I don't know.
Allowed me, the daughter of two small business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40. Growing up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never could have.
They say there's no second act.
My story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation in just one lifetime.
I think she did. She stood in front of a mirror or people or whatever and really went through this speech quite a few times before it was broadcasted. Which is smart, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's how she got her job on the, what was it, the PTA?
You know, it's Women's Day today, right?
Yeah, well, she's setting women back herself, so I don't know what to do about it.
Truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families.
The American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families.
Like you assumed that they rehearsed this before.
I mean,
I got cut off.
I would assume, because I know they recorded it like a day in advance.
This was the take that they went with.
Look, they're just not a very good political party. They're just not a very good political party. Good thing we got the Democrats to fight against them. I see you're more of a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. guy, huh?
Yeah. I'm back. I'm having
Hi,
internet.
Walter. Welcome back. This is the North of
looks
48 podcast.
Yes, it is. Hopefully it's still going on.
I hope so.
I
I hope so, because we're getting some real good content here between Forrest and me.
Yeah. And I was thinking, no, yeah, we're still going. Okay, good.
Oh, great. This is just be requiring a little editing.
There you go. A little editing at the end. Let's hear some more from Katie.
Let's hear it.
True, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this.
She's at acting lesson.
Our families are hurting. Our country can do better. And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border to see it.
Okay, now the way she smiled at the crisis at the southern border kind of unnerves me. Is she happy there is a crisis? You know, can you imagine?
Well, she's not unhappy about it. I'll say that.
I'll tell you though, like with kids, she'd probably be really good. Like when she comes to you and smiles, and she'd make kids cry. I think. You know, I expected better of you. The crisis at our southern border, Jimmy. Go to bed now.
It's not that I'm mad at you, Border. I'm just disappointed.
Yes, that's how you do it. That's parroting 101 right there.
The most secure border of all time.
And she's smiling.
But
wait. I'm sorry. Did she say most secure border of all time?
Yeah, what the fuck does that even mean?
I want some data to back that.
Under what? Yeah, what metrics is she measuring this by?
Trump metrics. Trump metrics. Okay. Trump.
Well, according to Trump, when Trump was in president, they were pouring over the border constantly. Is what I always heard at the time. So I don't know what the fuck she was talking about.
Well, and what's amazing, Trump started the border wall again, and then Biden actually put money towards trying to finish it.
Yeah.
So I hear you. Okay, come on, Katie.
Well, you know,
give us some stuff.
Biden's not being strong enough on the very illegals that he calls out.
Yeah, exactly.
Suspended all deportations. He halted construction of the border wall.
What a bastard.
And he announced
What a bastard.
amnesty to millions. We know that
Amnesty
President
to
Biden
millions. I didn't hear
just
that.
create
Like Ronald
this
Reagan.
border crisis.
Yeah.
He invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100
The nerve of the
days.
fellow.
It's like he made an executive action a day.
Yeah.
I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me.
Hold on. You're a senator from Alabama. A state senator.
State senator.
Yes. Okay.
He has no
outside our
national
door.
reach.
Yeah, none. Well, she's going to.
Well, you got to understand, Alabama borders Mexico somehow.
Yeah, a lot of Canadians don't realize that, but yeah, Bama, Mississippi, all that, Ohio,
Yeah, just right on the border.
Mexico.
No, is it? You're
Gulf of Mexico.
Gulf of Mexico.
No, yeah, they're not lying.
Mm. Well, as a Canadian, I've learned something about America today.
As a Floridian, I'm very good at geography.
Okay, so she's now going to go into a story about a refugee lady at the border, and I wonder if she's going to try to push her back across the border.
Ooh.
She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. She told me not just
It's a little old.
raped every day,
Whoa!
but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room. And
Okay, hold on. This is this may be true, and I'm sorry for the 12-year-old, but I also know there was a movie with Liam Neeson
Oh, yeah.
about a 12-year-old Mexican girl who was trafficked by the cartel.
Yeah, it sounds like a plot from Taken.
Yeah.
they sent men through that door over and over again for hours.
You know what I hear out of this? I hear the same thing like that fake Rush Limbaugh that was on The Simpsons was like, you try to open the door, but there's too much blood on the knob. Like, that's what she's doing here.
No, that's exactly what she's doing.
The way she's acting too, it like when she was a kid, her parents must have had quite the day. I mean, time with her, you know. She
I don't know. They raised a successful state senator
at 40, and
at 4. She did it at. Can you believe it?
yeah, and she cleaned her mom's bathroom at the yoga studio, so that was cool.
She was the daughter of 2 small business owners.
That's right, and she could be your president 8 years from now. You never know.
Yeah, you're right.
I could see her going up against Meg or Witchen from Michigan.
Oh, yeah,
Whitmer, yes.
Oh,
yeah. You know, you're right. She could be the next president of the United States, and that's exactly why we need to end the United States right now.
Jesus. Excuse my language. North of 48 podcast does not subscribe to any of these theories. Thank you. Here we go.
On end. We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country.
I
This
would
is
be.
the United States of America, and it is past time, in my opinion,
Is America a
that
third
we
world
start
country?
acting like it. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis.
President Biden's border policies. There's a period after each one of those words.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace how he's finished Trump's wall for him.
It is a disgrace.
Entirely preventable
He didn't use Trump brand concrete to build it.
from fentanyl poisonings
Okay, this is
to horrific.
You know, they
murders.
say fenton some, but I say
There
fentanyl.
are empty chairs tonight at kitchen tables, just like this one, because of President Biden's senseless border policies.
it's a disgrace.
Just think about Lake and Riley. In my neighboring state of Georgia, this beautiful 22-year-old nursing student went out on a jog one morning, but she never got the opportunity to return home. She was brutally
Well, why? What happened to her?
by one of the millions
There's too much blood on the knob.
of crossers President Biden chose
Real blood on the knob
to
situation.
release into our homeland. Y'all, as a mom, I can't quit thinking about this. I mean, this could have been my daughter. This could have been yours.
My gosh.
And tonight, President Biden finally said her name. But he refused to take responsibility for his own actions. Mr.
Yeah, he killed that girl.
Enough is enough.
Oh, another Bernie
He
freak.
literally
Dying.
dropped
And
someone off at her house for the purpose of murder.
Ooh. Can you prove that?
Hey, can you prove that the moon landing was real?
No, I can't personally, but I'm
you
sure
can't.
we could find a Nazi scientist somewhere who will
We're
explain
going to
it.
find a Nazi scientist to clear this up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, the drama class she's taken, those lessons have really come in.
Really come in. Yeah. I got to say, she could play Blanche Dubois in Streetcar Named Desire.
to blame. Fulfill your oath of office. Reverse your policies. End this crisis and stop the suffering. Sadly, we know that President Biden's failures don't stop there. His reckless spending dug our
Like, none of this connects to anything real.
Well,
Look.
I
Like,
think
name a policy. What policy? What policy? What policy?
Well, there was
Katie?
that import the guy to
Murder.
murder that girl policy.
he drove her
Right.
to the place and let her out of his car.
It's true.
He was like,
Forgot.
yeah, he was like,
Forgot
get in.
already.
We're riding with Biden today.
Yeah, riding with Biden. That's right. Actually, you know what this sounds like is a cast interview for Anna Green Gables, and she's going for the for the
Okay.
lead. You
I
know,
was thinking of more of a Little House on the Prairie, but okay.
Little House on the Prairie. Well, she could be the mom on Eight's Enough. I don't know if you remember that show, but Dick Van Patten. But
No, afraid not. Is that a Canadian show?
no, not at all. It was an unpopular American show in the US of A.
Well, I'm afraid I don't remember it, just like I don't remember a time where America was actually good.
You were born too late.
We'll have to watch that.
Here we go. Katie Britt.
Sent the cost
Britt.
of living through the roof. We have the worst inflation in 40 years and the highest credit card debt in our nation's history. Let that sink in. Hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet today. And with soaring mortgage rates and sky-high childcare costs, they're also struggling to how to plan for tomorrow. The American people are scraping by, while President Biden proudly proclaims that Bidenomics is working. Goodness, y'all, bless his heart.
Wall Street is saying that it's working for them very much.
Strategically placed y'all in there.
Yeah. Well, she has to. She's from Alabama. The economy apparently is good. Inflation, she's right. It's just horrible. But apparently the rich people are still making money. So everything's safe in America, right?
Yeah,
look, I have thoughts on this. As a laborer in America, I know that Joe Biden's Fed was only raising interest rates to discipline labor in this country. It had nothing to do with tamping down inflation. And while inflation has come down somewhat,
that's interesting. That is interesting.
Well, I mean, fucking Trump's secretary. So what the fuck?
Yeah, it was never about tamping down inflation because they don't care about inflation. Who cares? Like, the only reason why you would care about that is on November 2nd, if somebody's going to vote and they're like, man, I sure didn't make as much money as I did last year, or it doesn't go as far. But they don't actually care about it. What they do care about is getting people back to the workforce for their $7.25 minimum wage, like the federal government's minimum wage. That's all they care about. Can
you buy a house on a car at $7.25 in the United States?
There's no place in the United States where even the state minimum wages would allow you to rent an apartment.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
But you don't want labor start, forming unions and striking and getting better wages because
they're
not only do
getting
you have to pay that money out,
those workers.
Not only do you have to pay that money out, but also you lose control of your business. You lose the levers of power you have to discipline your workers into being afraid of starvation and poverty.
Yeah, if I could go to the doctor without putting up with this asshole, why am I putting up with this asshole?
It was obvious during the General Motors strike when they cut off the health insurance to break the strike, to break the knees of the strike. It didn't work, but it was one of their greatest levers, is to tell people who are out on strike and aren't making their wages, hey, also you have no health insurance for you or your family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when anyone whines about inflation, their motives are suspect, be it Joe Biden or Larry Summers or what's her name? Senator Britt.
Katie Britt.
Katie Britt from Alabama, Republican.
I remember Mick Mulvaney on Fox News a couple years ago laughing at the idea of Republicans of the deficit. And anyway,
who was that? Who was
Mick Mulvaney?
Yeah, it was during the Trump years. There was I forget what the interview. It was like a Fox News interview or something. But they were saying it was only it was Kudlow maybe, and he's like, the Republicans. Trump just passed. It was after the tax break. He's like, so it adds like $3 trillion to the deficit, and you guys are against that, right? He's like, not really. If I can find it, I'll send it to you. But yeah, there's a bunch of Trump cabinet members on TV after that tax passed because that's what they're being asked by people who like supposedly believe in this shit. Like on Fox News and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we don't give a shit about the deficit. Are you fucking kidding me?"
But
never cared about that.
Kudlow has said he's eaten his words, and he was Trump's economic guy, right? He says he's eaten his words on the Biden economy. He says it's actually very good for business.
Of course it was, because Joe Biden is a neoliberal type, and he was never going to harm business. That's the thing that keeps him in office.
Yeah, that was his big promise. Don't worry, things will fundamentally change.
He is the legislature guy from Delaware, right? Home of big business,
but the only time in the last 50 years that the federal budget was balanced was under a Democratic president. So
surplus, even.
Yeah, for multiple years they ran surpluses.
Okay, good point. Let's
there's no whenever a Republican says they're a fiscal conservative, I'm like, so you don't plan on paying the hooker you've been seeing on the side?
No, better. I'll never forget stopping at a gas station in Chilton County one evening. The gentleman working the counter told me that after retiring, he had to pick up a job in his 70s so that he didn't have to choose between going hungry or going without his medication.
Should have had a defined benefit.
I'm going to have to do that anyways.
Everything
I just know it.
I did everything.
Should have got a pension.
To do. I worked hard. I saved. I was responsible.
Yeah.
He's not alone.
I bought houses, lots of them.
From fellow parents, whether I am walking with my friends or whether I'm at my kids' games. But let's be honest, it's been a minute since Joe Biden pumped gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart.
No cap.
Meanwhile,
Tucker pushed the grocery cart.
And we know it doesn't go as far.
He did. He even unlocked it.
Mm-hmm.
And despite what he tells you, our communities are not safer.
Whoa.
For years, the left has coddled criminals and defunded the police.
Where? Explain to me where they've defunded the police.
Well, coddling.
Imagine coddling a criminal, like someone who, like a rapist or something. That'd be horrible.
Yeah, or a guy who's running for president.
Yeah, I mean, or Donald Trump, for instance.
Yeah.
He's a convicted rapist.
Yeah.
Well, he's been impeached too, right? So by one part of your legislature, so by Congress.
Well, that's all we had to do, right?
But foreseeable.
From
our small towns to America's most iconic city streets, life is getting more and more dangerous. And unfortunately, President Biden's weakness isn't just hurting families here at home. He is making us a punchline on the world stage.
Oh, man.
He's hurting families at home?
Yeah. He showed up the other day. Yeah. He kicked my kid right in the ribs. It's fucked up.
Let him in your home.
Well, he's the president. He's got a master key to everyone's home.
Your word is your bond. But for 3 years, the president...
I'm going to try that the next time I'm arrested. I'll be like, well, my word's my bond.
Mean what it used to. From abandoning our allies in his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah, like anybody gives a shit about that anymore.
Another dangerous deal with Iran.
Dangerous deal.
Mm-mm.
President Biden
can't trust those Iranians.
Has failed. We've become a nation in retreat. And the enemies of freedom, they see an opportunity.
Freedom is the only way.
If I was married to this woman and I walked into the kitchen and she looked like this, I would be very scared.
I would walk 500 miles away from her.
Putin's brutal aggression in Europe has put our allies on the brink. Iran's terrorist proxies have slaughtered
the bill.
Israeli, Jews, and American citizens.
Yeah, she's a state senator. She has no ability.
Shipping. And they've attacked our troops nearly 200
get a hold of her Republican
times since
congressman.
October, killing 3 U.S. soldiers and 2 Navy SEALs.
Ooh, Navy SEAls.
The Chinese Communist Party is undercutting America's workers, China
How
is
so?
buying up our farmland.
Triple CP.
Spying
Oh,
on
you mean the way Walmart buys all their
and
crap from
spreading
China? Is that what?
propaganda
No,
through
that's
the
not what
likes
you're
of
talking about, is
TikTok.
it?
You see, the
Talking about the
CC
fucking farmland.
that if it conquers the minds of our next generation,
What, communism? Ooh, cool.
conquers America.
Fuck yes.
And what does President Biden do? Well,
I
he
mean,
bans TikTok,
sits on the shitter for like an hour every morning.
creates an account for his own campaign. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. Look, we all recall
Oh, she's
when
wailing about TikTok.
national
For
security
crying out
threats
loud.
with
Well,
strength
that's
and
a
resolve.
Chinese invention, right? Isn't it?
That seems like ancient.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Right now,
So is
our
fireworks in the wheel, I
commander-in-chief
think.
Yeah.
is not in command. The
And
free
ink,
world
maybe?
deserves better than a dithering and diminished leader.
Yes.
America
Talking about Trump now?
deserves leaders who recognize
Hell
that
yeah.
secure borders, stable prices, safe streets,
Yes.
and a strong defense
Sure.
are actually the cornerstones of a great nation.
Yet it's her part. Whoops. It's her party that's stopping the legislation to get arms to Ukraine, right?
I think you overestimate our support for Ukraine.
I don't think so.
Yourself. Are you better off now than you were 3 years ago? There's no doubt.
Am
We're at a
I?
crossroads.
That's a great question, lady.
Doesn't
Well, I didn't know who you were 3 years ago.
we all feel it?
We all feel it.
But here's the good news.
Good news, Rick.
We
Oh, okay.
are still in the driver's seat. We get to decide whether our future will grow brighter or whether we settle for an
Wow,
America in decline.
this is pablum.
Well, I know which choice our children deserve. And I know the choice the Republican Party is fighting for.
Okay, which one?
We are the party of hard-working parents and families. And we want to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive.
I hate to say this, but I'm inclined to ask her what color of parents and hardworking people is she talking about?
Well,
I hope it's all of them.
she's not gonna. I doubt she'll give you an honest answer.
Oh, she's a politician.
And we want families
Hey,
to
she didn't
grow.
become one until she was 40 years old.
I
There you go.
strongly support continued nationwide access to in vitro fertilization.
Oh, okay.
We want to help loving moms and
Okay, hold it. She supports in vitro, and she's from a state that banned it.
Well, I'm sure
that's-
she's fighting tirelessly to reinstate it, right?
Well, yeah, for all those hardworking moms who want to have children. That way, if they do IVF, they don't have to take much time off of work, right?
You don't have to take much time off of work.
Yeah.
Hell, you know what? We'll just grow the baby in a lab, and you don't have to
Yes.
take any time off.
There you go. And you can have more workers.
dads bring precious life into
I don't
this
know,
world.
man. You got to pay workers, though.
And I believe there is no greater blessing in
We
life.
just grow robots.
And that's why tonight I want to make a direct appeal to the parents out there,
Here we go.
and in particular to my fellow moms,
Fellow moms.
many of whom I know will be up tossing and turning at 2 a.m., wondering how you're going to be in 3 places at once and then somehow still
Soccer
get
mom
dinner
stuff
on the
right here.
table. First of all,
Real hearts and minds.
we see you, we hear you, and we
Sorry.
stand with you. I know you're frustrated.
Jesus
I know you're
Christ.
probably disgusted by most of what you see going on in Washington.
I
And
know.
I'll be really honest with you.
Can you not feel the
You're not
empathy
wrong for
dripping
feeling
off
that
her?
way. Look, I
Yeah,
get it.
really.
The task in front of us isn't an easy one, but I can promise you one thing. It is worth it. So I am asking you, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, get into the arena. Every generation has been called to do hard
Hockey
things.
is good.
American greatness rests in the fact that we always answer that call. It's who we are. Never forget,
Here we go.
we are steeped in the blood of patriots who overthrew the most powerful empire in the world. We walk
The Romans?
in the footsteps of pioneers who tamed the wild. We now carry forward the same flame of freedom as the liberators of an oppressed Europe. We continue to draw courage from those who bent the moral arc of the universe. And when we gaze upon the heavens, never forget that our DNA contains the same ingenuity that put man on the moon.
There you go. See, she says it's real, Rick. She says it's real, Rick.
Yeah, it's not, nothing's real. She doesn't know what real is. She's a maniac.
She could be president.
Yes, it's entirely possible this woman could become the president. She's also a maniac.
For sure? Is she a maniac for sure?
I forget who said this today, but they said that this woman hit all the highlights for women who are thinking of not voting for Trump, which may be all that he needs.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Trump, Rodrigo, and it's good to hear from you, by the way. From listening to the Chapo Trap House podcast this week, I got to learn some interesting information about Trump's polling being higher than Biden's. And this is historically significant. So Trump will need all the voters he can pull in, but this kind of shenanigans will work in his favor. And I think we all need to buckle in for a second Trump presidency.
Well, he made a set of running shoes. So the blacks, he says, would vote for him because he's got running shoes. Is that going to work?
No. I would imagine the kind of people who would be swayed by that probably don't vote anyways. But I don't.
This woman here, this was fascinating. Her response, I think that's the best response since Bobby Jindal.
I remember old Bobby Jindal's response, 2008.
Yeah, it screwed him, and he's never been the same since, right?
2009, I guess.
Yeah, or the water incident with that Floridian.
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. He doesn't know
Little
how to
Marco.
Water, but.
Trump destroyed in 2015 when he was going through the Republican Party's primary process. He destroyed all the old guard and all of that kind of stuff. He remade the party in his image. Now, people want to talk about Trumpism. There is no such thing. There is only the Republican Party, but it is a much coarser, rougher, and violent Republican Party than it was just 10 years ago.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. All the old guard. Well, you've got the Mormon, Romney, he's leaving. Mitch McConnell's leaving.
Jeb Bush his future was ended in that campaign in 2015.
Yeah, please clap.
So, a lot of the old names that should have had another 10, 15 years in politics, or should have at least been viable candidates for the leadership of the party, they all sort of fluttered out in the face of a burn it to the ground guy like Trump. And so, all they're doing now is just picking up these MAGA chuds like this woman here. And now she's pretty smart in the way that she delivers her message. It's pleasant. She's not screaming at people.
She knows,
but she does talk about American carnage.
Yeah, she does. And she blames President Biden for driving that girl over to get raped in that person's house. That's it's
That's very.
And that didn't happen under Trump, right?
Well, no, Trump never drove anyone to anyone's house. He can't drive. This is the least, like, so many times I've been told this is the most important election of your lifetime. And I've never felt more like this is the least important election of my lifetime than this one.
Well, yeah. So you've seen Robert Kennedy, we seen tonight, and that was just an infomercial for his campaign. This person, she really had, like, it must have been pre-recorded almost. Do you think it was live? Because
no, they don't ever do these things live. They always pre-tape. Because
she didn't touch on anything he said at the, at his speech at the State of the Union. But she still had these same old ad hominems that Trump has, right? Border. Yet Biden expanded the border building. The
Republicans have been playing the same playbook forever. Like, they just turn around and call Democrats communists, and then that works, So it's like, why change the playbook? She didn't need to know the specifics of what Joe Biden was going to talk about, because she knows, like, all I got to say is border this and inflation that, and Planned Parenthood selling baby parts. There you go.
Well, she's in favor of IVF. I mean, that's a start. Coming from a state that banned it, so.
Yeah, I'm not clear why the state banned it.
I'm not either.
They did not ban it, actually.
Okay,
they
what did you do?
Declared that if you have frozen embryos,
yes,
disposing of them is murder.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you can still have IVF. You just can't clear out your backlog of frozen embryos.
But
the clinic stopped doing any harvesting or implanting because if they lose an embryo doing that, they're worried that's murder. But technically, it's not banned.
So when a woman towards the end of her egg cycle, whereas at 35, 40, some women go into their 40s, but then when they have viable eggs, they want to have quite a few of them in case, the first couple don't fertilize, right? So it's kind of important. So they're really playing with women in this regard.
Sorry to interrupt.
I'm glad you saw it.
A lot of injections to make sure that there are a dozen coming out at the same time, so you can try over and over again, which is a lot cheaper than harvesting them one by one.
Sure.
That's true, but it's not 1,000. It's not.
Hey, and you know what? They can only give you a death row. Like, you can murder as many people as you want. They can only kill you once. I'm just saying. Have at it. Flush all those embryos you want. They can only give you the death penalty once.
You live in a dark place, Rick.
Yep, it's called America. Oh, yeah.
Oh, good old America. Wow.
Well, I'm really glad that we have Rodrigo here to clear us up on these American issues. Thank you, Rodrigo. You're a true American.
I hate talking without the facts, and I've been known to do that. So thank you, Rodrigo. As far as IVF goes.
Really glad that Rod's here. It's just always just going to, like, they don't need to change the playbook. Like, they defeated Roe v. Wade, and it's a problem for them.
Yes.
Like, you're better off keeping that boogeyman out there. It was a tactical mistake to actually get rid of Roe v. Wade.
I think it hurt the Republican Party. There has been more Democrats elected as a result. However, they did lose the House. So
they lost the House, obviously by less margin than is typically historical about that. But
right.
Joe Biden during his speech was like, "Hey, Donald Trump, he put on the Supreme Court that got rid of your abortion protections," and that's true. but it also happened under your watch. So
yes. Yeah, it did.
You know, it's hard to blame someone else for something that happened while you were the president.
Well, we can all be happy it's Women's Day today. Right? So,
it is. Happy International Women's Day. She get some women on the program.
That's right. And we heard you mansplaining to that person we just want. Way to go, Rick.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. We should take her more seriously.
I don't know. I just think the acting was just, like a drama school thing. But I mean, like, she had all the inflections. She winked at you. She smiled at you at the proper parts. Like, she was coached heavily on this.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with her bland performance. It's just nothing breakout either.
Right.
Like, I saw that 2004 speech with Barack Obama, and you could tell he was going to be a rising star, even if you didn't think he was going to be the president. And like, you could also tell, like with Bobby Jindal, you could tell when they've just sunk their star with their stupid rebuttal. And I don't think this woman did either one of those things. I think that she'll continue to have a long career in state politics.
Right. I think so. And she could probably be running again against the Michigan governor, right? Whitmer.
Whitmer seems to be a popular choice for, leading talking heads.
Yeah.
But, politically speaking, the last 4 years politically were a nothing. Like, they were a push because we're right back to the same election we're having 4 years ago.
Right.
And really, I don't think people really feel like much is all that different. But 2028 is going to be a completely new landscape, and it's going to be a political, like the 4 years between now and then are a political eternity. So Whitmer could be a nothing by then. It's hard to say, and I don't want to argue with you that she could be the nominee. I think that's entirely possible.
No, she's just one of the
just too early to know
the possible. Because what are your feelings on Camilla? Do you think she's not going to?
I feel like her career is over, but
that's the way I feel too with everything. But she's been nice and quiet, and she's supporting Biden.
I think she's really hoping that Biden just suffers a massive coronary.
And
because that would be the only thing that's going to continue her political career is if she becomes the president.
Once again, that is not the philosophy of North of 48 podcast, but appreciate your opinion. Right?
Yeah.
We don't want to see anybody pass away. Don't you want Joe to go to the home, and have
I would want that right now, but he's chosen to stay in the ring, and we're the ones paying the price. So even Canada, what you guys do down in the States affects us up in Canada. It really does. Sounds like Mexico got something to say.
Okay, Rod.
Did you guys hear what Ann Coulter say?
No, what?
On Twitter. Someone asked her what could Trump do, and she said on Twitter, he could drop dead? Question mark?
Bill Mayer's old girlfriend, Ann Coulter. And I have no idea what she ever seen in him, to be honest.
I didn't even realize she was still alive. I guess you can't kill a vampire, I guess.
Is she still on Fox, or is she just off in podcast land?
Oh yeah, she's not relevant anymore.
No?
I think she went sort of never Trump. And that sort of destroyed her in the mainstream media.
Right. But Bill O'Reilly, who was always for Trump, you never hear from him anymore either, eh? This election cycle.
That's fine with me. Honestly, like the destruction of the major Fox News hosts that happened since Roger Ailes died has been one of the best pieces of Schadenfreude out of the whole thing. I mean, even Tucker Carlson, once Tucker Carlson had to just carry the whole load and be their star, right? It imploded because he's not charismatic. He's not a good TV person.
No, he has a future on Twitter or X.
Like they're the Fox. What's left of Fox News is considering Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters as their lead anchors at this point. Like that entity is dead.
Right. What was neat?
Died with Roger Ailes.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. What was neat during the Biden State of the Union is that Trump tried to, do some pithy comments on his Truth Social, but the website crashed. So he only got a few pithy comments out there into the Ethernet.
Last
I
night
didn't even think Truth Social was still a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, he's still truthing.
Yeah.
Last night during the speech, he wrote, "The drugs are wearing off." And I know he was talking about Biden, but it looked more like he was talking about himself.
Okay, that's a good point. All right, I think perhaps we'll end that now.
Oh, is that segment over? Okay. No.
Yeah, unless you have some stuff.
No, I better save some in the tank for next week, Walter.
For next week. Well, thank you very much, Rick and Norrigo. And
don't forget Forrest, he's here too.
He is here. His mic's gone. So thank you very much.
Oh.
So that's
Thank you, Walter. I appreciate being on the North of 48 podcast.
I was here.
We're very happy.
Jake was also here. Don't forget to Jake.
I said that to Jake. Yes, that's right. Well,
now, I did say I want to thank you for putting me on the North of 48 podcast. So you can't edit that part out. You have to keep that in.
I will keep that in. And
I like to say the name. Like, you got a brand. You got to say the name a lot.
Okay. North of 48. And that's it for March 8th, Friday, live stream. Thank you very much. And thank you to our talking heads in the audience. Appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, thank you.